The Mayville Community Centre in North London is a deep energy retrofit of an existing 19th century brick building. It's been fully certified to the Passive House standard, making it the first of its kind in the UK. The project started on site in May 2010 and completed in July 2011. The clients are now moving in to the building, and so at this stage it's where we come in and we effectively hold their hand to make sure that they're using the building correctly and getting the most out of it.
So you're here all the time?
Yeah.
So were you here from the very beginning of the whole project?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
And is this, have you got what you expected to get, do you think? And again, no blame, I'm just interested in your view.
More than.
No.
I think more than I expected, actually.
As part of the building performance evaluation, we have enlisted the help of Roderick Bunn of Bere. He is going to be providing independent analysis of the data. He's also ideally placed to advise us on the soft landings process because he helped write it. So it's quite a unique opportunity.
And soft landings is a series of steps where the designers or the project team who delivered the building to you help you understand the building and fine-tune it as you go into operation. So we spend more time with you than we would normally, give you much more customer support than one would normally do. Okay. And one does things like energy analysis and tries to work out where the energy is going. But but we do that as a discussion with you as opposed to just coming in and doing it and going. So it's very much a collaborative thing.
Bere architects implement the soft landings process in all of our projects. At the Mayville Community Centre, as a non-domestic and larger building, it's particularly important because there are so many different occupants. There are elderly people using the space, there are small groups who will be working there full time, and then there will be other intermittent users and visitors. So there's the user profile, if you like, is much more complicated than we would have usually had to do on a domestic building.
The recreational groups, in terms of table tennis group that use it here, they have, how many people does John have?
Oh gosh, 10 to 15.
10 to 15, and they're the most active group in the space, and they don't find that the building overheats so that they are sweating excessively, and they feel it's very comfortable. And then there's a sedentary group that come in who use it for bingo, and again they feel very comfortable, and they feel that actually the great thing about the building is that there is a consistency of warmth or atmosphere throughout the whole of the building. So they don't suddenly feel that they're in the foyer and it's really hot, like if you go into some buildings where they've got those heaters on the doors to give you that kind of feel, you're in somewhere nice, and then you go to another building, part of the building, and then it's cold. And they feel that it's quite nice that there's a continuous temperature all the way throughout, and it doesn't fluctuate to such an extent where they suddenly feel that actually I'm in a different zone or I'm in a different part of the building. And that's probably true for the tenants who are in the ground floor. Again, they've got that same thing, which is that for the administrative staff, it's comfortable for them to work with. The user groups, in terms of their meetings and doing some yoga and exercise, again feel that it's comfortable to be in that space.
We've spent a lot of time with Tina, Trevor and Kathy of the MCP to try and make sure that they understand the building the best out of anyone, because they're the first point of call for anyone else.
What about the things that you have to react to, like the solar shading or the lighting system or the windows and the roof? How do you operate? How do you understand? What's your understanding of those, and what's your appreciation of those?
The appreciation is because yesterday we had table tennis club, and when they're playing table tennis, they get really hot. So normally we open the exit doors, and then they're really cold. So yesterday we were able to open the top, where the gentle breeze. That sounds really weird, but the gentle breeze that was just enough for them.
Yeah.
Just crack it up. So about that much, the temperature's fine.
How did you get on with the controllers that opened those?
Fine.
Of particular interest to us in this project is how the users will interact with low energy systems that they may not be used to. This is something that we're really keen to document.
Yeah, either people expect a light switch from the outside, or they expect that when they go to when they go to most public buildings, the light is on in the toilet. So the first thing that when they do is they think it's dark. There must be a light switch here somewhere, and then the light goes on.
Yes.
And then that provides them with some anxiety. So in terms of the design, one thing that we didn't do is actually walk through or talk through with people how that would be in a building like this. That until you come into a particular space, there will be no light, and then the light will come on. And then once you leave, you don't have to worry about switching the light because it's automated and it will switch off.
6 months on from the building's completion, we felt it would be a good time for us to go back, revisit some of the systems and check that they were working as we had originally intended them to. The reconciliation of the meters has allowed us to look at the system overall and try and work out where any problems might have occurred.
Right, so let's be absolutely clear, which is the ventilation heater, what's the notation on that one? 2L, that's that one, yes, that's right, ventilation heater, that makes sense. We think. If that's reading 0, which it is, so that's fine. Oh, I see what you mean, so that is reading on that, yes. So that's all in the ventilation.
Yeah, they've all got power,
Yeah.
and they're all showing the same reading at the bottom,
Right,
so they're all connected correctly.
right.
Just that one's not reading anything, as though it's never been on.
Yeah.
In our case at the Mayville, there was an instance where a couple of the sub-meters were double counting, which means that they weren't displaying correctly. And so the whole process gave us the opportunity to get the electrician back, trace the circuits and work out what needed to be fixed. If we hadn't have done this, then at the end of the year our data would have been completely wrong. So this is one of the things that's of paramount importance when considering the design and the installation of your electrical supply.
We're not interested in either good news or bad news. Everything is news. It's the realities of the thing. So we don't judge anything.
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment we know we have a metering problem. But the fact that there is a sub-metering problem on the electrical circuits, the fact that there is an electrical problem, as far as our research is concerned, we don't treat it as a problem, we treat it as a characteristic. We say, well, this is what the industry does. Mm-hmm. So what we need to do is understand more about how we've ended up in this situation, so we make it better next time.
As part of the recommissioning, we asked Andrew Farrar, the Green Building Store, to come back and check that the system was performing optimally.
This is the CO2 monitoring device, and at the moment you'll see it's registering 609 parts per million CO2 level within the building. And there are two motorised dampers that open and close in order to ventilate this area when it's required. And these are controlled on CO2 level. Interestingly, because it is really quite sensitive, if I breathe at it, I've now caused it to go above 800 parts per million. It's now going up to 1500 parts per million. And do you want to turn that on? You can now hear the motorised head running, and at the moment what it is doing is it's opening both those valves, and it will only start to shut down again when the recorded CO2 level drops below 800 parts per million. What I've discovered the problem is that the motion sensors in the upstairs offices up there are not creating any response from the zone valve or the motorised head that is operating the damper in the supply duct to those offices.
He's also taken the time out to explain the filter system to the staff and show them how that they can replace them on their own.
To begin with, what you do is you turn the ventilation unit off button. It will light up on stop, and you have to wait a little while. Right, this is a relatively dirty intake filter. What you'll notice is that compared with the new one, it is black. Put your arm right in, you'll find there's actually two of these. Here's the second one. There is what I would more normally expect to see, a few flies, a feather, but by and large it's not bad. The intake on this building goes out through the wall and up to high level. So what we're seeing is the benefit of the high level intake in that there is relatively little normal airborne debris. Right, having removed those two, simply what you do is you slide the two new filters in, cover back in, and then what I was always, there's an idea, go for it. Now that we've changed the filters, the ventilation unit is still in its off mode. In order to put it back into its on mode, it needs to be pressed into on fan speed 3. The ventilation unit will now come back into life, and we have succeeded in changing the filters.
It's really about the brightness as well. I like the brightness, the way it's opened up, because before it just seemed really dark and dingy. And it was actually, I mean, coming here, it was the people who made the centre really. So you overlooked all of that because you had everyone in the centre, etc., etc. Now we've got sort of both worlds in here, and now it's great to show people around, and we can, you know, get other people in who are interested in Passive House.
One of the next stages for us is to hold an evening event, maybe with sort of wine and drinks, just to introduce the building to the community and to gauge their reaction. Many people think that the building has actually been completely replaced because it's unfamiliar to them, and so it would be really good to see how they think the building has improved and changed.
Yeah. We're trying to get everyone back to the build because we've been quite a while. Yeah. As you know, the redevelopment took a little bit longer, so now we're trying to coax everyone back and show them that we're back here. It's a warmer building, it's easier to access, it's a nice building, it's pretty, and we're getting good feedback at the moment. So.